I had a bit of a slower reading month in May, but let's take a look at those books that I did manage to get through. Hello everyone, welcome or welcome back to A Fictional Escapist. My name is Chris, and today's video is the May wrap-up. Now, I read a total of 6 books in the month of May, a little bit of a slower month for me personally, but that's okay, we had some stuff going on, and we're going to run through them. So, now I know Roger hates my rating system, so we'll try and placate him. I had 1 3-star, 1 3.5 star, 2 4 stars, 1 4.25 star, and 1 rounded up to a 5. We'll run through these from my least favourite book to my favourite book. That being said, a 3-star score is not a bad score at all. I still had a good time with all of these books. My 3-star went to The Socialite's Guide to Murder. This was written by S.K. Golden. This is classed as a historical fiction novel. It is tongue-in-cheek, very easy to read, very light, very fluffy. Basically, we're following this socialite who has agoraphobia and lives inside of a hotel. She doesn't feel the need to go out and do anything in the outside world because her dad owns the hotel and she can basically get everything that she wants inside. Well, things start to go awry when people end up dead, and because she's very good at finding things, she goes on this wild journey to help solve the murder. Now, like I said, it was a bit of fun, it was a bit tongue-in-cheek. Her name was Evelyn. I can't remember her full name, but it was quite a long name. This socialite basically uses her hoity-toity nature and the powers that her father has brought her from owning the hotel to get around some barriers and make some poor life choices. But that being said, it was a very, very fun read. Plays on a lot of the Agatha Christie tropes, if you like that sort of murder mystery that's a little bit cheeky, and our main character is like obsessed with Hercule Poirot, which is the main detective in the Agatha Christie novel. So it was a bit of fun. If you're looking for something a bit lighter that is not fantastical at all, then maybe give that one a go. That was a NetGalley arc that I was approved for, and I had a fun time, but it wasn't anything stand out, so it got a 3-star from me. The 3.5 star that I had was Fangs of War by E.J. Doble. Now, I actually rated this one a little bit higher at 3.6 in my own rating system, but we'll round it to a 3.5. This was a very good debut. The prose, and I do have a full review if you want to check that, I'll put it up in the cards. The downfall of this book was how dense the prose was, and that being said, the prose was beautiful, and I think there is something truly special to be found in this book, but it was a little bit of a slog to get through. I had a really good time with it. It did take me a long time to get through 400 or 500 page book, 540-ish page book. It probably took me about 10 to 11 days, which is a fairly long time for, you know, that length of a book. But yeah, I had a good time. The prose, if you were able to sit with it, even though it was quite dense, was really, really lovely, and we had some terrifying creatures in there, which was really cool as well. On to the 4-star reads. I was lucky enough to be on the Escapist book tour for Moroda. This is by L.L. McRae. This was her debut novel, which she has put out a 2nd edition of after some edits, cover revamps, and it was a really, really fun time. This is the World of Lunaria Book 1. If you like dragons, if you like airships, if you like adventure fantasy sort of mixed in with high fantasy, if you like fantasies with different walks of life, different creatures, the world building was excellent. We went on an airship, which is really fun. I love airships. I'm discovering that the more I read fantasy, if there's an airship involved, automatically excited. We get to see so much of a world if we travel by air. So I really, really enjoyed that one, and I can't wait to continue on with that series in July for the Indie Accords Readathon. The next 4-star that I had was Voice of War. This is by Zach Argyle, and this is Threadlight book number 1. This one I listened to, the audio, and Adam Gold's narration was just spot on. Really, really good. This was another fast-paced, fun adventure fantasy following a new dad as he discovers that there is more to the magic of this world than really meets the eye, and perhaps his family is connected to it somehow. If you like fast-paced adventure fantasy, Voice of War was a really good time. Also, there are chroma wolves, and they're like big wolves that have 2 tails. And I like them because I like wolves. and I thought they were cool. Also, we have a sassy female protagonist who's sort of coming of age, so if you like those sort of stories, you'll have a really good time here, and I can't wait to pick up book 2 and hopefully book 3 when it comes out later this year. Coming up at 4.25 stars, we have Waking Ursa Minor by Helen Rye Peterson. This was fun, but also very, very approachable. So even though it's 700 pages, this read super quickly. We're basically following Sarah Kayla, who is our main character. She's an orphan, but she's been left some papers by her parents and told of a prophecy. The world that we're in Rivida, I hope I pronounced that correctly. That's how I pronounced it the whole way through the book. And Sarah Kayla is basically tied to this entire world in terms of bringing it back together, but in doing so could unleash a great evil. So this was a really fun story. I think the way it was executed was magnificent, and I highly recommend picking this one up. Now, I did say in the vlog, but I read an interview with Helen Rye Peterson, and people were saying that they would compare it to The Bone Shard Daughter and Mask of Mirrors. So if you like those books, then you might enjoy this one. I personally have not read those other two books. I would say that this one has a Sanderson-esque style writing, just in that you can pick it up and be immersed almost immediately. So if you like a good adventure fantasy, if you like fantasy that takes place underwater, you're really going to like the last part of this book. So I recommend that one. Had a great time. And the 5-star read, no one is shocked, was The Sword of Kaigen by M.L. Wong. This was the Theonite story. I think it's a war Theonite story. I'm not sure what the tagline is for the series. Even though it's a standalone, there was like a Theonite war novel, and there's 2 novellas, I believe. Don't quote me on that. But I waited to read The Sword of Kaigen until the hype train died down a little bit. I was a little bit scared that I was just going to jump in and not like it as much as other people did. And I'm glad that I waited, but I also had a magnificent time with this book. For a standalone, it really encapsulates everything that I loved in a fantasy. We had excellent world building, we had interesting magic, we had characters that I cared about in terms of learning what their arc was over time, and those arcs were done very well. And although the plot was fairly simplistic, it was rich. And The Sword of Kaigen also dealt with a lot of bigger issues, such as censorship was a big part of this book, and the conversations surrounding that and why it's not the best way of life was very, very well done, in my opinion. So even though I had a bit of a slower reading month in June, I did genuinely have a very good time with the books that I was reading. What did you pick up in the month of June? Let me know in the comments below. What was your favourite? If you like this content, give it one of these. If you want to see more of it, then click subscribe at your will, and I will catch you in the next video. Ciao.